2015 Gypsy wears fishnet stockings and weaves braids on a rainbow wig. This is Victor's gift to Nick's second personality. The guy immediately unzips his fly and actively works his right hand, and actually Victor is more into Ruby than Candy, but she'll be next time. The couple has been chatting online for 2 years. Nick is trying to finally meet Gypsy in person, but according to her it won't work. His mother won't accept him if she finds out they've been communicating secretly, so they have to meet as if by chance. In the morning, Gypsy puts in her fishing pole and suggests to her mother that they go out somewhere, like the zoo. Dee Dee's diabetes has made her much worse over the past 2 years. Her character has also become completely bad. She is constantly yelling at her daughter. She does everything in this life just for her. And everything is not enough for her and grabs her roughly by the neck. The only thing Gypsy feels for her mother is hatred. Our pervert doesn't live close to Gypsy. One stayed away. Just as he promised his lady of the heart, he got a promotion and will now be making pizza at the diner. Nick this is a shy, awkward, and complex guy for whom the new job proved too difficult and he was put back on the street. Nick, collecting pebbles picked up on the road, is cheered up by the desirable Ruby. She shows the bruise her angry mother left her, but Victor better not show it, or he will savagely deal with the abuser. The girl drives the scissors down her throat. You stab the evil mother, says Gypsy, and the couple come at the same time. The girl clarifies, can he really go for something like that? Nick says no, but Victor better not ask. He's a professional killer, he kills people all the time. Dee Dee wants to make up with her daughter and suggests she go to the movies to see Cinderella. Gypsy gives Nick a new shirt and buys him a bus ticket to come to Springfield and casually meet her and her mother at the movie theater. Gypsy tells Nick what he will have to say, but the chump can't remember even one simple phrase, and the girl offers to write it down. Dee Dee insists that her daughter only has to go to the premiere in a Cinderella dress. Nick is nowhere to be seen, and the plan is for him to open the door for them and say the cherished phrase that the princesses don't open for themselves. Gypsy was on the verge of tears, but then her panting prince entered the building, and surprisingly Dee Dee began to say something about doors and princesses. But yes, the plan almost worked. The hall was completely empty. When Dee Dee and her daughter sat down behind this strange type, she rolled her away, but Nick doesn't give up. He sat in the back again and said hello. Dee Dee threw popcorn at Nick and rolled her daughter away again to the other end of the hall. The guy freaked out and walked out. After waiting a while, Gypsy excused herself to the bathroom. Dee Dee wasn't feeling well, so she let her daughter go alone. In the hallway, she meets the deadbeat with a drink and sends him to the bathroom. There, Nick assures Gypsy that she is the most beautiful girl in the world, and she enjoys meeting a man who loves her for the first time in person. Nick is sure he is giving his lover the first kiss of her life. Dee Dee gets worried and sets out to find her daughter. They don't have much time, so Gypsy takes off her dress and spreads it out on the floor. Nick enters her and now puffs on top of her. It was over pretty quickly, but Gypsy was perfectly content. The handicapped restroom was occupied. Dee Dee returned to her seat. Later, a joyful Gypsy drove up as well. Another attempt at the door from Nick, but Dee Dee didn't appreciate it, called the guy a psycho, and took her daughter away. The woman suspected that Gypsy had somehow met the pervert earlier. Nick texted that the mother was now on his blacklist, and it was better not to go there. That's when he dared to call Dee Dee herself to tell her that he and Gypsy had been in love with each other for years. He was also the father of her future children, and he wouldn't allow himself to be talked to that way. Then he hung up right away. Dee Dee called her daughter into the room, and the weakened woman was about to tie the girl to the bed, and she didn't even resist, but she still cried when her mother left the room. Dee Dee did not untie her until after supper, and Gypsy immediately texted her lover that she wanted Victor. Nick is a tough guy in his fantasies, and Ruby shows up at his door. They decide that if a woman prevents them from being together, then she has decided her own fate. At the mall, Gypsy again takes advantage of her mother's sore feet and goes to the bathroom alone, but she doesn't need to relieve herself. She needs a hunting knife for a large deer. For skinning or stabbing? The salesman asks. The girl in the wheelchair answers for butchering. Meanwhile, Dee Dee, having looked around the bathroom, realizes she has been duped. The old man bored Gypsy with his story about knives. She has to hurry, so she just takes the one on the fish window. Dee Dee is looking everywhere for her daughter and has just reached the hunting store. But Gypsy has already made it out of there. The woman snatches the package from her hands, but there was only the stuffed toy that Gypsy supposedly wanted to give her. The love games on the net already involve a purchased knife. Later, the girl spreads out a young killer's kit, Scotch sleeping pills, gloves, and a knife on the floor. Victor is supposed to arrive tomorrow night. Over the years, the house has become a dumping ground. Dee Dee is no longer capable of giving herself a pedicure and Gypsy has volunteered to help her, but getting a manicure would probably be easier. In the evening, to clear the doubts from her head, Gypsy agreed to go to the hospital to have a tube changed in her stomach. Nick would have to text her when he got to the door, Dee Dee talking to her daughter for the last time in her life. When the woman fell asleep, Gypsy began to pack her things. Nick wrote that already on the spot. Dee Dee's cries and pleas for help to Gypsy can be heard. We return to 1991. Dee Dee Blanchard in labor. The umbilical cord wrapped around the baby's neck, but no big deal, a glorious healthy baby girl was born. The woman's mother, Emma, came to visit, and she immediately got smart and took Gypsy for a bath, even though Dee Dee wanted to do it herself. Finished with the wet business, the killer couple called a cab. Gypsy stayed in the house for a while, and once in the car, told to go to the motel. Night passengers look happy to calm down. The girl drank Xanaxes. Victor turned out he only drinks vitamins for men to please her prince. Gypsy put on a rainbow wig and stayed in the underwear. Nick gorges himself right in bed on the brownies that Dee Dee managed to bake before she died. Wiping crumbs from his mouth, he switched to candy. Lying in bed, Candy Gypsy plans a meeting with Nick's mother. By the way, in real life the break has proven incapable of keeping up a conversation longer than 20 seconds. The young mother worries that the newborn isn't eating well. There's definitely something wrong with her. Dee Dee can't separate from her baby for more than a minute. The pediatrician diagnosed a developmental arrest. The girl is a little smaller than she should be at 2 months, but if everything is done properly, it will pass. Dee Dee is trying to follow the doctor's orders clearly, not getting enough sleep, and is nervous. Her whole life is centered around her daughter. She wants to be alone with her. The very next morning the couple checked out of the motel. They went to some diner for their first date, and it turned out to be kind of unromantic. The cops entered the joint. The killers flinched at once. Gypsy talked about how they weren't criminals and dropped the pills. The policeman handed her the can, which had Claudine Blanchard's name on it. They still had the knife with them, so that the weapon wouldn't be detected by a metal detector. Gypsy just mailed it to Nick's house. 1993. Dee Dee films her daughter with a stolen video camera. The cops show up at the house. The woman is charged with fraud and check fraud. The child cried. The court sentences the thief to 6 months in jail. Emma gloats. The plan to bring her young daughter to court didn't work. Dee Dee knows that her mother could have found bail money, but didn't. She begs her to follow the schedule the doctor has scheduled. At the bus station it turns out that Burdock has only booked 1 ticket in his name and there are no more seats, having to pay another $100 for 2 more tickets for the next flight. While serving her sentence, Dee Dee keeps writing letters to her daughter, but she hasn't received any from her mother herself. Dee Dee was released and can finally return to her daughter, except that the girl cried when she saw her mother. She had forgotten her in 6 months. The woman now shakes the child again every second, reproaching the mother for not following the schedule. Just an hour ago Dee Dee had given Gypsy some cough syrup, and now she was putting a little more into the syringe just in case. The youngsters had to go back to the motel. Gypsy is restless, unlike Nick, who watches soap operas, reads comic books, and acts like nothing happened. 1997. Emma is no longer able to move around. Dee Dee herself is thinking of surrendering the elderly person to hospice care. She basically takes advantage of her mother's condition to get back at her. Dee Dee gave her painkillers not prescribed by the doctor, and now the woman's organs are shutting down. She has a couple of days left at most. Emma screams in rage and asks Dee Dee to come over, but she just turned the TV louder. After a while, Dee Dee walks into the room with her dying mother and says she believes she loved her. Emma on the other hand whispers back that it was impossible to love her. While her cousins are having fun on the trampoline, Gypsy is mastering the oxygen mask. She is strictly forbidden to go outside to play with them. Dee Dee's sister found the letters the woman used to send her daughter from prison. The heartless old woman did not even open them. Gypsy, however, ran outside to jump on the trampoline and fell off it onto the sidewalk. Gypsy went down to get something to eat and saw a cranky baby who kept screaming for her mother. The girl has a panic attack. In the room, Gypsy is snapping at Nick. They shouldn't be here, and this fool is totally unhelpful. He does everything wrong, subtracting the guy. She instantly brings him to tears. For some reason her prince does not protect her, but only creates problems. But he promises that he will never leave Gypsy and will do anything for her. After a fall from the trampoline, Dee Dee won't let Gypsy walk on her own while the girl was in the hospital. Her mother bought her a wheelchair. It was the end of her more or less normal life. The couple finally goes to Wisconsin to visit Nick. Thanks for watching. The finale of the story is coming out very soon, so I'll be waiting for you on the channel.